stress is the instigation of all disease. Nothing matters when you don't have your health. Imagine going to a doctor's appointment and walking away feeling educated, like you've got tools to heal as opposed to a prescription or a diagnosis.
Mona Sharma, celebrity nutritionist, global wellness speaker, and founder of Rooted Academy. After 2 heart surgeries threatened her life, Mona returned to the ashram where she grew up and rediscovered food as medicine. This week on the Commune podcast, we discuss AI, Ayurvedic wisdom, and a more intuitive approach to health.
People are starting to believe more in using AI versus going to their doctors. What I say as a nutritionist, fiber is one of the most beneficial ways that we can eliminate these toxins from our system. For every 10 grams of fiber, you actually decrease all-cause mortality by 10 to 15%. What if this is the year that you make all choices in alignment with health and happiness and even your health, aligned with the version of yourself that you came into this world with?
Okay, Mona Sharma, what a treat.
Finally, what a joy.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, I know that there's now a new Mona AI avatar out there, and I'm curious, what's that been like? What inspired you and how does it work?
So having done my greatest healing going back to ancient rituals and living on an ashram, the concept of AI was like, no, that's not it. I don't want to trust machines. But it's been a pretty fascinating experience. One, driven by the fact that I want to help as many people as humanly possible, and I'm only one person. Launching my Rooted community, I recognized that there was an opportunity to really be present with people at times of the day when I can't show up for them. Yeah. And after 15 years of being in this industry, it's the touch points in between calls that have the most profound effect. So this is where an AI avatar really became, appealing to me. Flash forward, we develop this video program where it looks and feels like you're speaking to me as a practitioner. And what I didn't know is that you could train AI on empathy. So we inserted about 10 years, a decade of my client notes, my protocols, my meditations, my guided breath work and stuff like that. And what I realized when we were experimenting with it was that 1, she would respond exactly the way that I would, but 2, she would respond with empathy, acknowledging, hey, Jeff, how did it feel when you tried that breathwork session yesterday? Hey, how did that supplement feel for you? Are you noticing a shift yet? And so these follow-up questions to really engage in the individual as a human being. And I think that that's so important because I believe that the future of healthcare must be about personalization. Yeah. And so now if you can train this avatar on understanding you, and we're getting to a point where I'll be able to insert blood labs, more biological testing so that we can understand your personal DNA, so to speak. Yeah. But also your personal goals and the season in life that you're in, so that this avatar can now understand, well, in this season, here's what we're working on. And it's no longer this umbrella approach to healing that we're seeing in the media that we know is starting to fall apart.
Not only can this kind of small language model learn you through all the transcripts and all of your notes, but it can also learn what the guest specifically needs and then create that Venn diagram between what you can provide and what they need at any moment.
You got it.
It's pretty amazing.
My mannerism, my voice, I've been told that I'm able to give a calming and soothing effect to people, which is really beneficial because I can really switch gears on the days where I'm the practitioner, the nutritionist, versus the one leading a mindfulness session.
Probably coming soon in any language.
Actually, we have a Punjabi version. I sent it to my dad. He's like, when did you learn this language? It's fascinating. The speed at which it's evolving is incredible. Yeah. How real it feels as well. And I'm really putting strong guardrails on, connecting with nature, getting outside, prioritizing community and stuff like that, so that we're really also recognizing that we're getting more drawn into this digital age, but that true healing happens when we're outside, when we're meeting with people, when we're in Sangha together and stuff like that. So yeah, the feedback from these women is that they feel as though they've been seen for the first time and really, okay, I know what it means to heal for my constitution, not somebody else's. Is
there an aspect of digital accountability too? I mean, can you check in on people such that they not only know the thing that they're supposed to do, but then they feel like they need to actually do the thing that they've learned.
Absolutely. And what I say as a nutritionist, I think that my greatest job is that I've become a really great investigator. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to uncover what helps my clients personally feel great. And so through this method of discovery, this avatar can do the exact same thing. You know, it can say, I can prescribe these things to you or make these recommendations, but it's up to you to go out and feel what feels most aligned with you. Mm-hmm. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Yeah. And I think at the rate that we're going, we can set it up that way. The second aspect of this, when I think about it being truly supportive, is the fact that the first question that I ask anybody that I work with is, who is part of your care team? And you'd be surprised, I have yet to meet somebody who has a care team. Yeah. They don't know who to go for to get answers. And although we've been speaking to integrative healthcare for so long, there's still no integration. Mm-hmm. The cardiologist doesn't speak to the primary care. The primary care doesn't speak to the GI. The GI doesn't speak to the yoga teacher, for example. And so part of this program is establishing who that care team is. And so through this platform, what we've also done is, connected with Dr. Michael Bruce, who is a sleep doctor, Karan Krishnan, who's the microbiologist, Dr. Darshan Shah, who's around longevity. So it's not necessarily about me. It's really recognizing that in order for you to feel confident about the future of your wellness and your health span, that you will know who to go to in times of need, but that you're also recognizing all parts of yourself. Health and wellness has taken on this umbrella term, but really we're so much more diverse than that. There's so many parts of us that I think Eastern medicine recognized, but Western medicine and certainly technology does not.
Well, this is the epitome of bridging ancient wisdom and modern medicine, right? Yeah. And I will just say from my own personal experience, I'm just getting on the other side of the most acute back pain I've ever experienced in my life. Just absolutely debilitating, excruciating. As part of that, I was put in the pinball machine merry-go-round of modern medicine where, okay, I'm at urgent care, in a wheelchair, getting getting an X-ray, make sure my prosthetic is actually still has integrity. But then I'm getting pushed off to another physician who has to prescribe an MRI so I can get an assessment of that MRI to see and it's all taking weeks and weeks, and I have to get approvals through insurance. And all this time I'm like, wait a minute, I know a little bit about human physiology. I'm just going to prompt the heck out of AI and see through just some interoception and good prompting and clear thinking, which was hard, actually, given how much pain I was in. I'm going to continue to prompt AI and see what I can learn. And I've learned in the last 2 weeks more about the human spine than I think most people learn in medical school. And just through prompting it around how I was feeling, where I was feeling pain, etc., the AI gave me a diagnosis of a herniated disc between L3 and L4. And it took me basically 3 weeks to get the exact same diagnosis, L3, L4 radiculopathy, which is a quite ridiculous diagnosis, but that's what it's called. And it was really quite tremendous. And for all of the dangers potentially of AI, this personalization, this bio-individualization is pretty special.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's studies coming out right now that, people are starting to believe more in using AI versus going to their doctors, right? And often I'm hearing about clients taking printouts. Well, can you tell me more about this? And doctors are like, what? We didn't even cover that in med school.
Yeah, I know. And so, some doctors are more open to it than others, I will say.
You got it. Yeah, so it's a really interesting time for doctors in the future, but it's inevitable that AI is going to be part of that profession. And maybe that can be something that's a really strong winning point for the future of our health, right?
Yeah. I think this bridge is an interesting bridge between kind of cognition, intellectual knowledge, which AI can provide in spades, but then community and accountability and support, which really does come primarily from humans and community. And that whoever can figure that bridge out, maybe that's what you're doing right now, I think is got the key to the highway.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because let's just say if you had not used AI and if you were not Incredible Jeff, who just had this wealth of insight around healing, chances are, and this is what I hear, and I've experienced this myself, experiencing the medical system at the time of my heart surgeries, but when you leave a doctor's office in acute pain without having any answers, you spiral.
That's right.
You spin. You're living in the pain. Your reality becomes pain. And you're worried about the future. You're wondering what's going to happen. In the US, this healthcare system, as a Canadian, blows my mind. You're also living the expense of how much it's going to cost you to heal. Yeah. You're not sleeping at night. Your body's not recovering. So for a lot of my clients that I work with, living in that fear alone is actually can be more debilitating than the actual symptom or imbalance, right? That can be cured. 100%. And what happens in that moment, and this is a big part of the work that I do, is I'm re-educating everyone that I work with to remind them that you are the healer. Your body has the ability to heal itself, and not one doctor is reminding you of that superpower. And what we're learning today is that the power of your mind, the ability for your mind to control inflammation within the body, the resonance and resilience within the body, and the body's ability to heal exists. And we cannot deny this anymore. So, gosh, it's my greatest hope that for people, imagine going to a doctor's office or a doctor's appointment and walking away feeling empowered or educated or feeling like you've got tools to heal as opposed to a prescription or a diagnosis.
100%. I mean, when my back was in its most acute phase, yes, there was a tremendous amount of physiological pain, but there was also a lot of spiraling out because I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to walk normally again. This herniation is never going to be like, this is forever. I don't even actually know what it is at that point, you know? Yeah. Oh my God, I've dislocated my prosthetic, or it's microfractured, or, you know, whatever. All of these, you're just laying bricks of anxiety on top of each other.
Right.
And then, I started to read John Sarno. I don't know if you're familiar with John Sarno. Just as an aside, he is a doctor that writes about the back and back pain, and certainly acknowledges that there are structural issues in back pain, but that behind the structural issues are often deep psychological issues. So just as some background there for people who are not familiar with him, but I'm more and more then feeling empowered. Like, okay, this might take a while, but if I adopt the right nutrition, the right rest protocol, the right kind of subtle movement, physical therapy, the right mindset, like, I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I started to feel more and more optimistic. And that changed the whole game for me. As my mindset started to shift, I started to get on top of the pain and move forward.
Instead of identifying it, it's like, oh, this is aging. Here's what I'm going to live with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yogis would attribute that to, what is the pain that you've been holding on to all these years? What is the pain in your back that you haven't released? What is it time to let go of? And there's an incredible part of that needs to be acknowledged too, because if that is what's kind of opening the door to you to instigate, like, when is the last time that this part of my body felt good? When is the last time that I remember living without pain? And then looking back, in NLP, we do timeline therapy to see there's specific things that we can remember that happened within our life. And more often than not, working with my clients on those specific moments, they can see the onset of, call it inflammation, joint pain, digestive issues, back pain, and so on. So it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is a good opportunity to bridge into the ancient for a second, because so much of your work integrates Ayurveda. So just for people that are new to Ayurveda, maybe just give us an overview, if you can, of what are some of the central tenets to Ayurveda.
Absolutely. So I'll first say I'm not an Ayurvedic doctor. Dave Asprey introduced me as an expert in this lens, but I actually grew up with it. So I grew up at the Shivananda ashram. My family and I would spend summers there. And at these ashrams, if you've never experienced an ashram, there's spiritual places where you go and you practice yoga, meditation, breath work, time in nature, time in community, eating real whole food, time in sangha, probably some chanting as well. And today I call it the ultimate wellness retreat because it shuts down the noise of what you think you should be doing, and the environment, the stage is set to bring homeostasis to your body mind, body, and spirit. And so Ayurveda is this 5,000 plus year old wisdom that comes to us through ancient texts, and it recognizes that our constitution, our prakriti, is actually deeply aligned in nature. And it recognizes that every single person on this planet has a prakriti that's actually very different and unique. Mm-hmm. So an Ayurvedic practitioner would probably not use the same protocol on one person or on two people ever, because we're that diverse. And in this diversity, when we think about the connection to modern day medicine, it's using not only food as medicine, which is very powerful, but it's understanding the power of what we're digesting. That's not only food, it's what we feel, it's what we watch, it's what we smell, it's what we listen to, it's what we feel every single day. So ask yourself, what are you digesting in your life? I think we've become so food focused, which is fine, but chances are you probably know what to eat. I would say Ayurveda goes deeper in understanding, well, why aren't you choosing that for yourself? Then it goes deeper in towards imbalances. And digestion is a key pillar of Ayurveda that I think needs to be paramount when we think about medicine today and healing today. The power of what we're consuming. Often we throw things down the hatch. We just expect our bodies to deal with it. We've got food marketing and CPG at greater highs than we've ever seen before in history. We've got protein water coming out that we think is what we need to be consuming.
Wait, I left it on the table.
Yeah, and I think that we're understanding whatever media says to do is what's right, as opposed to the profound idea that food is information for every single cell in our body. And food doesn't know how to just go to your liver or your stomach or your heart. Food communicates information systemically through the body to the mitochondria in the body. And Ayurveda, before mitochondria became a buzzword, recognized light within the body, prana, life force center, and that nutrition had the power of optimizing that circulation within the body. Let's call it through this mitochondrial network or through pranic energy. Food has prana. Boxed, dead, living food with the labels of gluten-free and healthy and paleo and keto, if it comes in a package, it probably has very little prana for you. So that's step number one. But then we also recognize how to go deeper. So if Jeff as an individual is struggling with stress and anxiety, am I going to focus on putting you on a hardcore restrictive diet? No, I'm going to focus on giving you a sense of ease and balance, on soothing inflammation in your body. And this is where I love Ayurveda, looking at nature to use things like herbs, which are medicinal, teas that are medicinal. They're highly anti-inflammatory. They're loaded with polyphenols. Again, these antioxidants that naturally lower inflammation to the body, which, by the way, modern Western pharmacological looks at nature to create Western drugs. So why not just go to the source, right? But we've been conditioned that, oh, it's too easy, or it's too woo, right? Or perhaps it's breath work or meditation practice every day that we can align with. And again, it's in that woo category. We've really diminished the power of it because we've never been taught the power to ease our body, to lower stress and inflammation just through the power of breath or the power of mindfulness. So I would say that going to this personalized approach really stems from Eastern wisdom. And for someone like me who relied on the Western system, so after having 2 heart surgeries for atrial tachycardia and 4 ablations and being told that I was going to wear a pacemaker for the rest of my life, there was a time and a place for Western medicine. It really did support me. My heart palpitations really did decrease. But doctors at the time never asked about my inflammation. They didn't ask about the chaos that was happening in my mind being communicated to my body. They didn't ask when the last time I felt a sense of ease or peace in my body was. And if they had, I would have said, God, I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. Hypervigilance was like my happy state. And we know that when we live in this state of chronic stress and anxiety, even though we glorify it in public, is actually one of the greatest detriments of our health. Stress is the instigation of all disease. And again, ancient wisdom has known this all along.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's so interesting that these 5,000-year-old Eastern philosophies put their thumb on these concepts that now we've given modern, words to. Like my grounding is much more in modern Western medicine, right? So I know about these concepts of like homeostasis, right? But baked into Ayurveda, as I start to like unpack the surface of it, is this basic idea of balance, right? And that we are born with this prakriti, right? We drift off into where we are right now, which is the vikriti, right? But our kind of idyllic, platonic, balanced state is the prakriti. Is that right? So
you got it.
we always are sort of, our ability to enhance homeostasis, if you will, that riddles the body almost everywhere we look, sort of like blood sugar balance, pH balance, neurotransmitter balance, hormonal balance. These things are like a seesaw. You know, when the cortisol is properly balanced with melatonin, you know, we have the right energy during the day, we have the right sleep at night. So it's I think it's quite amazing that Eastern philosophy and Eastern wisdom has sort of unpacked these ideas now that we can study under a microscope and give them different names.
Yeah.
And then can you also just maybe touch on the concept of the doshas? Because that's, I think, that's part of Ayurveda that it sort of has creeped into the mainstream zeitgeist, and I just want people to understand what these are.
Yeah, anyone can go and do a dosha quiz online. When you do a deeper dive into how to balance your prakriti, so for me, I'm a vata pitta. Vata, I tend to be in the air. There's this ether quality where I'm floating around and my mind can get quite busy, maybe a little ADD type aspect to me. I need grounding, but that's compounded with this pitta foundation, which is fire, it's energy, it's get up and go. It's that A-type overdrive that keeps me really, really happy. But if I go deep down in that root, that's my hypervigilant state that feels really, really good. But if you stay up there for too long, you burn out, right? And you crash. So for me, and everyone has a balance of all three. The other one is kapha, which is more of a grounded nature, being connected to the earth. And I think that the beauty comes in recognizing where you're over dominant so that you know how to soothe and come back to that state of ease again. I think that all health relies on ease. Instead of recognizing that there's something wrong with you or, my pitta's on overdrive. We're constantly blaming our body and our constitution. It's like, no, it's a beautiful thing about you. It makes you who you are. It's your drive. It's your ambition. But let's figure out how you can calm and soothe. There's great practitioners out there who will all speak to the fact that whatever you figure out in terms of your prakriti, do you know what yours is?
It's kapha vata.
There we go. So then if you know that you do have more of this kapha dominance, I would work with you to say, okay, well, when can we, throughout your day, create an action or a ritual, as I typically like to work with, that would make you feel inspired or motivated to move. So knowing you on a personal level, you waking up first thing in the morning and getting into your cold plunge, right? That puts you into action.
Yeah.
Something
that I still have to force myself into it.
There you go.
But the output is so excellent.
You got it.
That now it has become a ritual for me. And, you know, we can segue eventually into rituals, but the way that I try to make to wind up habits is by pairing something that I really love to do with something that is actually good for me.
You got it. The stacking of that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to double click on something that you said, the effort that it took for you to get out there and do it, right? And it took considerable effort until you started to feel the results, but you also noticed the results on the number on the scale, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so for everyone that's listening, if there's something that you're hearing an expert or a doctor or an influencer saying, you've got to do this, this is the secret to longevity, that could be, and there could be the science there, but you have to figure out what that thing is for you. So for me, if I've got this pitta dominance, I need calming, I need cool, I need grounding throughout the day. And I could easily list off, a laundry list of things for people to try that would be beneficial. But I think that the secret that I hope everyone takes into 2026 is figuring out what's right for you. Because my protocol, your protocol could be something that felt right for you, but we're all different. So figuring out the one practice that might take a little bit of effort to begin with, but when the reward is there, that's your body, your physiology saying, yes, do more of this, figure out how to ritualize this into your life. At the end of the day, if you're somebody who's gone home and you rely on Netflix, the bottle of wine, the sitting on the couch, the binging, it can often feel like rest, but it's actually part of a nervous system dysregulated state where you're in freeze mode. Cortisol is still high. Your body is still under high alert, but you've become decapitated from the body and what you need to be doing. So just as an opportunity to recognize that. So when you're choosing that bookend ritual at the end of your day, have it pull at your heart. Make it be part of something that you're doing with a loved one or something that's part part of your higher self. And I would say that that is probably the greatest difference between a habit and a ritual. Habits typically are goal-oriented. Often they come from our intellect, from what society, media, or practitioners are telling us to do to be better, to become something else. When we think about a ritual, it's something that's a lot more intrinsic. It's aligned with our higher self. It's aligned with an emotion or a feeling that makes us feel a certain way that feels like home.
The thing about rituals that I find interesting is that it doesn't take that long to wind up an adaptive ritual. Mm-hmm. And the payoff is amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes the entryway into the ritual is like walking over hot coals. So
absolutely.
How do we get through the initial doorway into doing something that is long-term adaptive, but maybe short-term seemingly uncomfortable?
Yeah. And especially, if you're someone who's lived in this hypervigilant state for a really, really long time, or maybe like me, it was your happy place. It feels really good to be there. Telling that person to go eat a salad every day, go work out for an hour, it's like, okay, it's like running on a hamster wheel, trying to keep up with everything. It's not going to last. Right now, as we're recording this in December, I'm doing a 50 push-up a day challenge with some of my clients. Okay. And I love it. My intellect is on fire. The A-type version of me is, let's do this. Yeah. The second it's over, I really don't think this is something that I'm going to stick to, right?
You're like counting the days. It's like, where are we?
I do feel stronger, but I cannot see it being a priority if I'm not going to have a community doing it with me, right? And more often than not, we don't have a community working towards the same health goals as us. So that's why I point that out. Yeah. Now, in January, a lot of people are going to be committing to a lot of these things, and it's going to feel good to commit to new things. Go back to the gym, work out for an hour a day, 2 liters of water, cold plunging every single day, and that's fine. It's really great. But I want you to pull back a little bit. And this is how I use this process with my clients is ask yourself when you wake up first thing in the morning, and this answer, by the way, can change week by week, month by month, year by year, depending on the season that you're in. And if you really get in touch with your spirit, you'll know exactly what to do. So if I were to ask you, what is the most important emotion that you want to wake up with in the morning? Mm-hmm. Now, I work with a lot of high performers and CEOs and even the moms out there. And the first thing they'll say is accomplished, successful, acknowledged, wealthy, list goes on. Well, I say that's really great. I really recognize that those qualities, those values are important to you, but you actually didn't list off one emotion.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I say, well, let's flash back. I want you to imagine you are a little kid playing in a playground, maybe different color shoes or whatever it was for you to be a kid in your happy place, just being uniquely you. Mm-hmm. What was the most important emotion for you to feel? Often I'm met with tears, and the answer then shifts to happy. I just want to feel happy. Or for a lot of the men that I work with, I want to feel peace. I want to feel joy. I want to feel freedom every day. And all of a sudden there's a big shift. Mm-hmm. And then I ask, well, let's follow up now. With your goals for this year, how do you want them to align? When you become the emotion that you want to attract, you become this tuning frequency of those things. You naturally align with making better choices, right? Mm. I would say the health that I'm in today and where I coach my clients on getting, it's not because they're constantly on a healing program. It's that healing becomes them. They've figured out the rituals in their life that have so much impact, so much reward, so much alignment with the emotion that they want to feel, that it's no longer an effort anymore. They're no longer efforting towards health. They're naturally in alignment with the things that make them feel good. And that's the food, that's the type of movement, that's the type of morning practices that they can align with, the vacations, even the challenges, right? If it is doing a marathon, it's not doing a marathon as a checklist to say I've done a marathon. I'm doing a marathon because I want to feel that feeling of freedom when after the race, I throw my hands up in the air and I've done something, right? That feels good. And it goes with aging as well. You've shared beautifully in your book having a dream of how you want to age, right? Yeah. And you're in touch with the emotion that you want at that point. And this is a big part of NLP is getting in touch with the emotion. Yeah. Health will come and go. I can get you to the number on the scale and fit the skinny jeans, but we've all been there, done there, tried that, and it's always led us to seeking more. Do you know the work of David Hawkins?
No.
No? Oh, I have to give to you with these books.
Okay.
So one of the first people to really bring to light that we can scale or measure the impact of our emotions on our physiology. So when we are in higher emotional frequencies, happiness, joy, peace, freedom, enlightenment, right? We're open, we are expansive, we are attuned with all of those things, right? Nothing matters when we're that happy, right? Life is great. We're not driving through a McDonald's drive-through when we're feeling happiness, joy, right? But when we are in a contracted state, feeling stress, overwhelm, worry, sadness, grief, shame, it's this contracted state. And from that contracted state, we're making poor choices for ourselves, right? You've been on an incredible journey. What would be interesting is to look back with this lens and understand the practices or the decisions that you made for your health in all of those years that you were trying to belong. Were they in alignment with the fear of not belonging or the actual joy of belonging, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd have to get back to you in the next podcast. But yeah, I mean, I think they were largely a product of always feeling like an outsider. But, I grew up overseas and bouncing around to a new school in a different language as a chubby kid. And it was tough, Yeah. And so I became, a code switcher and a social chameleon, really, without a completely solid sense of what my authenticity was, because I was willing to just flow like water into any situation. And then, you lug that rucksack into adulthood, and a lot of those same characteristics or traits follow you.
Jeff, all of us have lugged that sack all of these years. And this is perhaps a refreshing lens for your listeners. What if this is the year that you make all choices in alignment with health and happiness, and even your health, aligned with the version of yourself that you came into this world with, right? All of us came into this world with a perfectly imperfect, unique note, right? But at some point we were told to act a certain way, be the good girl or the good boy, try to fit in, be better, be successful, be the straight A student. And we've always tried to act like someone else, right? And so here we are, gosh, like we get to our 40s, 50s, if we're lucky, recognizing, God, the pattern, I'm so sick and tired of trying to fit in. I'm so sick and tired of not being myself, of trying to belong in other communities. And then we start to reawaken this light of, God, if you could play your unique note in this grand orchestra that we are in every single day, all of a sudden the orchestra turns on, the music sounds beautiful and vibrant, life gets more sweet and profound. And I have to reference, like when we look at places like blue zones or different parts of Europe, which you've lived in, where we have these centenarians, and you've talked about this. No one talks about diet. No one's talking about numbers of hours in the gym. No one's talking about biohacking this beautiful body of ours. It's around harmony. It's around feeling joy every day. It's the power of connection. It's the power of purpose. This is a big part of ashram life as well. We connect with people every single day. We learn from others. We live in our environment. We have healers at our fingertips to support us. Our community holds us. Now our community is divided by screens. We don't have that support anymore. So a lot of us don't even feel safe to come out.
Yeah.
For me, if I go back to my 4-year-old self, God, I just want to feel safe. I want to feel safe to be me. I want to feel safe in my body. And, being half Indian, half Danish, I wasn't Indian enough for the Indian side, Danish enough for the Danish side. They put me in French immersion, French enough for the French side. I looked different from people at school. There was trauma at the home growing up. I had to walk on eggshells to the point where I laugh today when people say, Mona, you're so calming and soothing. And I recently shared, like, calming and soothing was my stress response.
Right.
I had to be calming and soothing as a child in my environment because it was so chaotic at home. And obviously it's become a blessing. But for many of your listeners, when we think about the way that they've been, the way that they've become, when we break that down even towards their health imbalances and the miscommunication that's happened within their bodies, it's the system just not getting the light that it needed to optimize at its best.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of that early childhood chaos was what led to your atrial tachycardia, or is it more complicated than that?
No, 100%. I was doing all the right things. I was on the Atkins diet. My house was the house of free, sugar-free, fat-free, carb-free, this free, that free. I was working out for 2 hours a day.
But you were also in a highly competitive industry.
Fashion industry, going to New York City, doing all of those things. Yeah, the stress was there. The hypervigilance was in full force. I had to be the best, and not becoming a doctor, lawyer, or a judge like my big brother. It was like I had to get to the top of my game really, really fast. And I did. But everything else was falling apart. A doctor told me in my 20s that I probably wouldn't be able to have kids. I had PCOS that was so bad. And yeah, going back to the surgery table, looking at my heart on a massive monitor, and doctors saying you'll probably have to wear a pacemaker for the rest of your life if we go through with this. I wish this on no one. Nothing matters when you don't have your health. And unfortunately, we've become so accustomed to living with symptoms. I lived with my heart palpitations for a really long time, the anxiety for a long time, the bloating for a long time, because it's normal, right?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, is that we've normalized the abnormal.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And doctors recognize that the surgery is a really simple solution. And I wanted this simple solution, the quick fix. I was at a point in my life that I wasn't interested in root cause healing. Yeah. But when that fear came in, I had what am I doing? What has happened? How am I identifying as somebody who's on beta blocker medication, who's gained 45 pounds, who now has a heart condition? I'm checking that box on all these forms. This isn't my life. Yeah. And that happened for me to go back to my roots at the ashram, where I had to literally go to an environment where the environment was set for me to unplug my nervous system from high electrical voltage to bring down the notch to come back into my body.
Yeah. Don't you find, though, that humans often operate through crisis? Like,
Absolutely.
We need these inflection points or rock bottoms in order to have these periods of growth. I mean, I wish it wasn't always that way. Wish we could just grow out of our great wisdom and munificence. But I see just periods in my life where I've had crisis. Whether that's been professional crisis or physical crisis, I look back on those generally with a lot of gratitude.
Absolutely.
That these are my experiences of growth. Now, I'm lucky because I have that compost of safety that allows those situations, that gives those situations opportunity to be transmuted from stress to like post-traumatic growth, for example. And I credit Skylar and my home life a lot for that. I mean, of course, I've invested in a lot of that. And not everybody has that luxury, that safety. Yeah. But I do often find that we end up looking back on our moments of crisis with some gratitude, because they do propel these periods of growth.
The greatest moments of our evolution, right? And I think that there's a tendency out there to feel the why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening again and again and again? Right. And when we shift our lens into more of a spiritual lens or higher self lens, we understand that that could actually be the greatest point of our evolution, right? These things happen to us for us to evolve. I could have easily stayed in the world of fashion and beauty and making that income with heart palpitations.
And sort of limping along through your entire life. I think that's the insidious or one of the most insidious parts of living in modern society, is that because oftentimes our addictions or our lifestyle isn't so acute, or doesn't present itself so acutely, that it's so easy just to limp along with a little bit of chronic fatigue and a little bit of brain fog and a little bit of like visceral adiposity and a little bit of like blood sugar imbalance. And then all of a sudden you're 50 or 55 or 60 and boom,
Yeah. And that's really great when we think about kind of becoming health. Disease just doesn't show up, right? In Ayurveda, we talk about this concept of accumulation. How much and for how long have you been accumulating symptoms, accumulating toxins, accumulating pain, accumulating inflammation? So it's not just like this one thing that's happened, right? Yeah.
I'm trying to get all my...
Ama, right? The excess toxins.
I'm trying to get my terms down.
You got it. Ama. We want to kind of like lower the ama that's happening. Absolutely. Yeah. And when we think about, just stepping into that version of ourselves, then I think it's really important to understand what symptoms have you been identifying with? What symptoms are you suffering with, right? A really cool tool that I use with my clients that I think everyone should use, and recently I actually learned that it comes from Buddhism. It's a different version now, but using a wheel of life. So I'll print out a basic wheel of life that takes you through assessing, how would you rate yourself, again, on that scale of 1 to 10, and this wheel that I encourage my clients to become a kid, print one out, become a kid, get some color markers, and rate on that little pie chart how you feel with your spirituality, how you're feeling with your finances, your relationships, your love life, your purpose, your physical body. And it's really kind of enlightening for people to say, like, wow, how long have I been living at like a level 2 in my spiritual game? Or feeling a lack of, really haven't been donating any time to my community or relationships or love life, right? And when we think about this in a modern lens, the analogy of using that is you've been driving with a flat tire. Every single part of you in that assessment is recognizing where in your life you're depleting energy. It's like this open loophole for that pranic energy to just be depleting. And so wherever we're depleted, maybe this is somebody who's listening, who's recognizing, I haven't really paid attention to cultivating community or relationships or my spiritual practice. And we brush it off. But we're not recognizing that by fulfilling those needs prevents us from chasing becoming another version of ourselves. We're not chasing for these random accolades for becoming better. Instead, we're rooting into all parts of ourselves that help us feel whole. And when we feel whole, we're no longer chasing, right? We're no longer chasing protocols, especially.
I think that's great. I mean, there's such a temptation in the new year to have new you.
Yeah.
But I think this might be a more holistic and healthier approach of like more of a thorough inventory of where you're full and where you might feel a little bit of deficiency.
Absolutely.
Like maybe, your spiritual life, or maybe, like for example, as you were saying that, I was reflecting and I said, my kids, we used to go and do a couple of charitable missions every year in LA. For years when they were young and they were around, and I kind of could force them to do it a little bit more because they were in my clutches. And we just haven't done that for the last few years. So maybe that's a place where we can step up.
One of the greatest things in the past few years, do you know Jesse Itzler? Yeah, so he's a dear friend of mine. I was the lead nutritionist and wellness coach in one of his programs. And through that, he developed a program. He launched the Big Ass Calendar Club. But there's a beautiful practice in understanding two things. One, I think the greatest thing that I took away is understanding time. There are only 8,760 hours in a year. What are you doing with your time? The most valuable thing that you have, right? And we know that time is just going by. And now in my mid-40s, it's actually on fast forward, or it feels that way anyway. But in this group, we go in, and I work with my clients on doing this as well, and I encourage your listeners to do it. Buy a calendar, be old school, like get something that you can print out and see. And I want you to go through and map out all things of value. Birthdays, people who you love, make reminders to yourself to call them, but also the experiences that you want to have. So experiences with your children, as tedious as they are, as annoying that you think your family might find them, put them into your calendar at the beginning of the year. And again, this goes back to how we started the conversation, is attach it to a feeling that you know it's going to bring you, the things of value. And then, of course, the health stuff, that's easy stuff, scheduling and when you want to go to the gym and workouts, but being intentional with how you're going to commit to that throughout the year, because time's going to go by, right? And I think that if we look back at this past year, if there was something that we could have done to help us step into a version of ourselves that makes us feel more happiness and more joy, doing that alone is going to be enough to distract you from the binge episodes or the unhealthy habits that you think really have a hold on you. Those have a hold on you just because you're not clear on alignment with who you want to become and who you want to remember.
An interesting point you made earlier is that you differentiated between what is known in polyvagal theory anyways as dorsal vagal shutdown, the differentiating between that and kind of parasympathetic nervous system rest and digest, because they can have some of the similar characteristics, right? You can be like chill, but you can also be chill and disassociated and attached and numb. And that's often what we choose as a way to regulate our nervous system, but that's actually not the optimal state.
Not at all. And I think there's a couple parts of this. One is that we also have to stop glorifying a parasympathetic state. Living in our parasympathetic all the time is not the end all be all. Being in this calm, soothing state all the time is not where you want to be. Mentioning that stress or, the crisis that is the instigation towards breakthroughs and change is really, really powerful. But when you have a healthy nervous system, you can learn to move through your sympathetic to parasympathetic. And then you also recognize when you're in that free state. And for listeners who might be thinking like, yeah, I really do look forward to when I can shut down at the end of the day. 1, recognize the behavior. 2, don't judge yourself. But 3, work back to understand what practices, rituals, or habits do you have in your life that are causing you to have the emotion of shutting down. And unfortunately, for many people, this could be a job that you can't leave or a relationship that it's not time to get out of. But this is where a practitioner would work with you on, okay, well, how can I support your nervous system in retraining? How can I get you into your sympathetic state for a few moments before you eat with some grounding breaths, for a few minutes at the end of the day when you're connecting with a loved one, through a morning practice of gratitude, because when you're in a full state of gratitude, it's impossible for you to feel stress. But I think it's the awareness behind that. And as much as I would love everyone listening to this to go and experience ashram life and what it's like, a big part of what I do is to teach people how to build the ashram in your own home. Your ashram is your house. It's your living room. It's the corner of your room with a meditation cushion and a picture of yourself and a vacation of your lifetime, something that anchors you in your truth. And then it's looking around and helping you put specific things within your home that remind you of happiness, joy, freedom, and peace. So whether it's a picture of a vacation, someone that you love, God, if you love the color red or pink, something that lights you up, right? If it's using music because you're someone who is more attuned to digesting things that you hear, making sure that you have a song or a playlist that you're listening to every day or that helps you feel a sense of grounding. Do you have a song?
So I have a song that plays on a loop like a Mobius strip right now. And it's not a song that anyone will know. It's a guitarist named John Schofield, jazz guitarist who I absolutely love, who's an old friend of mine, actually.
Wow.
He's had a wonderful storied career, played with Miles Davis, etc. And he made this record in the 90s that was very different than his normal records. In this album is a song called Away. I dropped my middle daughter at school this year, across the country in Chapel Hill. And she's a beautiful, complicated creature. And I felt this like deep sense of longing for her that I connect with this song. And I go out on these walks and I listen to this song, and that the rhythms sort of entrain my nervous system in a way to connect the rhythms and the notes with her. So when I'm listening to it, I actually am with her. It sort of collapses distance. And it's become this theme song, and I get sort of emotional when I listen to it, but it's sort of a chosen wistfulness. It's a chosen sadness. Not in a negative way, but in a way for me to find a place to put how much I miss her.
Yes. Well, what's the core there? It's love, right? And presence. And what a beautiful story. Like, I can feel the way that you feel through that description. And I love that you went so deep on that. These things are so important because they're so simple. They're simple rituals that you can incorporate into your daily life. Or going back to that hypervigilance that you might be in, that sympathetic tone, having a song that pulls you out, or on days of sadness or overwhelm. Mine is much more simple. It's Freedom by George Michael, where I will just blast and it changes my state. And with a lot of my clients, they will choose just an anchoring song or a type of music that will help them feel regulated. Not necessarily because it's the song, but it's the meaning that they've really attached that to, right? So find a song, It really
Find a
tunes to
song.
changing your state. You can change your state. That's so important for people to recognize. I think everyone forgets that that is their superpower. You can do it. Don't look at others to do it for you.
Yeah. And just to put a bracket on this nervous system conversation, I think that is a really interesting point that we tend to kind of sanctify or celebrate the parasympathetic. And I think what you're saying is that we can find the balance on the seesaw between parasympathetic and sympathetic, where essentially we are calm, but also alert. Like if I were to look at Mona right now, you're very, very calm. I feel a sense of attunement and coherence there with your calmness, but you're also very alert. Like your brain is functioning at a optimal level. And this is the little balancing act that we strive for, is this calm alertness. It seems like an oxymoron, right? But it's not really. I mean, we know it when we feel it. We're alive, but we're not frantic.
We could call that flow state, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the feeling of flow. And I think that feeling of flow is something that so much of us really, we crave in our day-to-day lives to take us out of the intensity of what it means to just be alive today. And this also goes back to ashram life and the power of a schedule. Right? I think that a lot of people listening, maybe you're in January and you've really gone to your schedule and you're hardcore with how you're mapping out your days. And there's incredible teachers like Stephen Kotler who've studied flow state and how to get into that state. But ultimately, it comes down to the power at the ashram. Every single hour of every single day is accounted for. And every single day is Groundhog Day. You do the exact same things at the exact same hours over and over and over and over. But when you're living it, it kind of feels like torture. But when you leave it, it's the greatest thing that you desire. Why? Because when you are so hyper present in that moment, in that calm alertness that you described, you are present. And in Buddhism, they speak to this as preserving life force. It wasn't that it was something that was related to doing more productivity or an accolade for success. It was preserving your life force. So I think the power of a calendar is really powerful just to achieve that state that you're talking about.
Cool. Well, you are a nutritionist, so
Yes.
we should spend a little bit of time there. I've changed a little bit of my approach to food. You know, I used to be the consummate intermittent faster 16/8 guy, and I still play with the edges of that, but generally that would mean for me just skipping breakfast. And I think that this is not atypical, where people are like, oh, it's super easy for me just to have coffee and skip breakfast and not eat till lunch. And I've actually changed that.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, where like I'm eating a heartier, savory breakfast, bolus of protein and fiber.
Beautiful.
And I'm feeling much more energized. And I'm curious kind of where you sit with that, and should we eat breakfast, and is that just bio-individual? And if we should, what should we eat?
I think this is, construct of our modern world. There are benefits to fasting, and I think a lot of us have worn it a badge of honor. Like, I don't need to eat until 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm just not hungry in the morning. And I work with so many women specifically who are like, I can't eat when I wake up. But the way that I see that now is actually an issue of metabolism or metabolic dysfunction. Going back to what we said about food being information for all of our cells, food is fuel for us to operate in our world. So why not break our fast first thing in the morning to give us the fuel that we need to operate at our best throughout the day? I would rather, if I'm putting someone on a healing protocol specific with fasting, that they skip dinner. Yeah. You're going to have the shittiest social life possible, right? But, in my house, we eat dinner like 5:00. We're those people. We eat like seniors. I go for really, really early dinners. I'm the worst when I go out with girlfriends. But it's something to consider. Or if we're going to use it therapeutically, just look at when there's a week or a month in your life where you can experiment with cutting out dinner. Yeah. During that time, I encourage you, I'm wearing one right now, is a glucose monitor. I really wanted to gauge how my body does with specific foods and understanding. And I do so much better when I break my fast first thing in the morning with a good dose of protein. So I'm aiming for about 30 to 40 grams of protein first thing in the morning and fiber. Yeah. And I don't think anyone listening could find one study on fiber where it contradicts that fiber is good for you, I truly believe that the future of healing is going to be on frequency, optimizing your frequency every day, how you start your day, that morning bookend, and fiber. Karan Krishnan, have you had him on? He's brilliant. He's a microbiologist. He's probably not only a dear friend, but a great teacher. There was a meta-analysis study that he shared for every 10 grams of fiber that you add, this is on a linear scope up to about 40 grams a day, you actually decrease all-cause mortality by, I think it's 10 to 15%, wow. Right? Yeah. By increasing your fiber every day. And we know that this is so powerful for a couple of reasons. Also with the gut microbiome, right? The more diversity that you feed the microbes within your gut microbiome, we know that our gut is associated with endocrine dysfunction, with our immune system, with our gut-brain axis, with our gut-heart axis as well, with our metabolism, with our body's own GLP-1 modulators, right? And I think that the science, as much as we know about the gut, is still just emerging in these areas. And I think that the more focus that we can shine on the intake of fiber every single day, notice how your health symptoms improve. So I mentioned when I went to the ashram, my body healed, the palpitations dissipated, one from the environment being set, addressing my nervous system. But the other thing that I was doing at the ashram was eating more fiber than I probably had done in years. And if you're listening to this, don't go out and just chase 40 grams of fiber right away. You're going to call me with bloating or constipation or something in between, but build your way up. At the ashram, every single meal is fiber focused. When you look down at your plate, it's not uncommon to have 4 or 5 or 6 different types of veggies on top of medicinal herbs and stuff like that. And through that diversity, you're not only improving your digestion, you're improving your body's elimination pathways, which means your body's detoxification pathways. Digestion and detoxification are the 2 greatest pillars of Ayurveda. There's that ancient wisdom. And that's relevant in our modern day world because we're exposed to so many toxins, right? So what is it? Upwards of 150,000 toxins that have been introduced to us over the past 67 years that are man-made chemicals that are in our environment, in our food, in our air, in our clothing, in our personal care products that have been accumulating within our system. Fiber is one of the most beneficial ways that we can eliminate these toxins from our system on top of incorporating healthy things into our life.
Yeah. Right? And also the cadence of how you eat. So fiber first, generally.
You got it, first thing in the morning.
Slows down the absorption of other macronutrients through the small intestine. So particularly if you're going to have carbohydrates, eat your fiber first. I wonder, how does Mona get that much fiber? Is it like leafy greens or nuts or avocados, or where's your source?
Yeah, so whenever you build a meal, and focusing on how to build your plate first thing in the morning, you'll notice over time maybe weight loss is a goal for you, metabolic optimization is a goal for you, optimizing your immune system is a goal for you. By eating more protein and fiber first thing in the morning, you'll notice your metabolic health optimize over time. You'll notice that your cues for hunger optimize also. And of course, this is how weight comes off of our body because we're not constantly craving food, right? So when we're building a plate first thing in the morning, I highly, you can get this from my website too, 50% of your plate, 50% should be fiber. Eat the rainbow produce section of colorful greens, and all the colors that you can get from veggies. And we can go through some meals as well. Then your protein, go back through that, how we all used to learn about protein being the size of your palm and maybe about an inch thick. It's not about measuring your macros. And of course, adding in a good quality fat because we know about those benefits for our brain health. That can come to us through a plate of food. That can come to us through a smoothie first thing in the morning. I'm a big fan of using smoothies in the morning. Watch your intake of protein powders, though. I think we have to recognize that protein powders are not a food, they're a supplement, right? And just noticing how you digest those foods. Yeah. Well, Mona, how are we going to do this? My life is too busy. I'm rushed
crazy.
First thing in the morning. Who's cooking? It's messy. I coach my clients on how to food prep every single Sunday. So I know if I go into a client's house that I'm working with, when I open their fridge, the 2 shelves that are at eye level are actually glass containers of pre-cooked veggies that they can just grab and go, grab and saute, grab and cook if they need to throughout the week. It's already ready for them.
Nice.
That takes all the guesswork out of it. And then, of course, really kind of not becoming a creature of habit. It's so easy to have the same grocery list week after week after week after week, but we're losing that diversity, there, right? Yeah. We want to diversify the microbes through diversifying the foods that we intake. So a quick little hack for this is when you go to the grocery store, you know this, spend the bulk of your time in the outer perimeter of the store, but also buy what's on sale that week. Force yourself to buy what's on sale, even if you don't know how to cook it. Like, force yourself to look up a recipe, but you'll diversifying. This is really when food becomes medicine, because you're not only taking in the different phytonutrients and minerals and stuff like that from the food itself, but also from the soil that it was grown in. The tail end of that too is kind of like how to add fiber, right? I think adding sprouts to your meal is a great way to do this. Incorporating chia seeds, flax meal, hemp seeds into your meal not only is a good quality fat, but also a great source of fiber. Yeah. I do send a bit of caution with using psyllium husk powder. I think a lot of people jump onto that. Psyllium husk can be therapeutic every single day. It's a nice addition to fiber also. But if you're not hydrating enough, you see what psyllium does in water. It kind of soaks up all the water around it. Yeah. It can also do that within your colon, and that might lead to constipation. So just be mindful that you're pairing that with hydration as well. And maybe this is the year, and this is where my clients have the most success. Break up with the idea that it's constantly about what you need to add in, the foods you need to add, the supplements you need to add, the protocol you need to add, the workouts you need to add, but instead ask, what can you take away? We know that with the onset of ultra-processed foods, the sugar, the salt, the fake ingredients, the chemical additives that come from factories are probably the greatest detriment to our health, but also what's causing you to stay in that food craving behavior. Yeah. I'll never forget when I went to the ashram, eating only whole foods. I remember the day where I kind of lost I was craving like sugary protein bars and sugar protein powders and sugary drinks and stuff like that, to tasting the sweetness in spinach. Spinach isn't sweet, but I could taste the sweetness in a green, which goes to show we've become so like our taste buds have acclimated to a system that is so far removed from the benefits of nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of our food habits are Pavlovian too. We're sort of conditioned to want something. It's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock at night and I feel this little hankering for something, and I will mindlessly just meander to the larder and pick out something. So I'm wondering if there is a tool or a technique to, before you just kind of mindlessly open the fridge, is there a way to stop and take a breath and actually witness the nature of the hunger and ask yourself, like, this is actually probably just a psychological or emotional desire. Like, this is not a biological need. Perhaps I can satisfy this feeling in another way.
Yeah, so this is a great question for people who feel like they're overeating, who chronically just are always thinking about food. I used to be that person as well. So it goes back to a few things. One, it's that dysbiosis of good bacteria in our gut microbiome. If you were someone like me who's on antibiotics every single year as a kid until I was about 15 or 16 years old, chances are you've got some dysbiosis. If you are living in today's modern day world, but media isn't talking about having dysbiosis and that being the cause of your sugar cravings, right? Then there's the emotional aspect of it. So I had a client this year who, his father would never let him go to the fridge or get anything sweet. That was considered bad. Now, as an adult with a sense of freedom and having 4 kids of his own, he wants to go to the fridge at night. He deserves to go to the fridge and get something sweet. It's not that he needs it or wants it, but it's this subconscious urge that he has to fill an unmet emotion that he has from a child, right? And we're working towards that. So recognizing where it comes from. And then, of course, it's behavior, right? How many years have you been going to the fridge to kind of soothe the boredom or distraction, right? I'm guilty of that for sure, working from home. So in those moments, hydrate first. People who work for me use a lot of herbal teas. Have some herbal teas first. Notice how that changes your hunger cues. Go out for a 3-minute walk. I advise all my clients to get a rebounder in their house. Jump on your rebounder to your favorite song. You will change your state. Chances are that addiction to that food will dissipate just a little bit, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I always hear stories about kind of wise old centenarians that just sip green tea all day.
And it's like so nourishing.
Yeah,
right.
I was like, I gotta do that. When am I gonna move into my green tea phase?
But here's what centenarians are doing. Yeah. They don't restrict food categories.
Yeah.
They don't see, sugar versus what sugar comes from, cane sugar from the earth, or honey as being the devil that's going to make you fat, and they avoid it like the plague, right? When we look at Ayurveda, and this is where it takes some retraining, one, because of the effort, but again, it's just the attempt. At every single meal in Ayurveda, they incorporate all tastes of the tongue, all flavors of the tongue. So when you build a meal, you want something that's bitter, sweet, sour, pungent, and astringent, right? And sweetness is something that's incorporated into every meal. So it's not uncommon to sit down to an Ayurvedic meal and have, a date that's in there, or a little bit of sugar, or some molasses, or raisins, or something like that. And you'll notice by incorporating a variety of flavors into your meal, you'll dissipate the need for the craving or the addiction that comes afterwards.
Also, just protein provides more satiety.
Absolutely. Yeah, protein and fiber is going to fill the meal, that you won't feel that urge to continually fill up. And make no mistake, I love dark chocolate. I brought you some dark chocolate today. People ask, are you salty or sweet? I say salty and then sweet. I'm not the saint there, but there's so many incredible options out there with safer ingredients. And by safer ingredients, meaning you recognize what every single ingredient is and where it comes from. It probably doesn't have a laundry list of ingredients on the package. Those are safe things to indulge in once in a while. It's normal. Don't deprive yourself.
And so we were talking just a little bit before we were recording that you experimented with a little bit of hormone therapy. Are you okay to talk about that?
Absolutely. Let's go there.
What was your experience with it, and how are you feeling about it?
So I came off of long haulers COVID, followed by mold exposure. I found out that I had black mold exposure after I did a 3-day water fast with our dear friend Mindy Peltz. And I was the person in the program like, I'm not feeling good. I'm gaining weight on day 3. I can't sleep. Whoa. And so I did a total toxic burden test, which is something that I use with all my clients. And sure enough, I had all of these different types of mold. So I was very depleted. I was running on fumes. But again, based on my upbringing, I was used to that. It felt very familiar. So I went through my own healing. I did mold protocol to kind of remove that from my system, but still desperate for a change. Now in my early 40s, and I'm hearing about HRT and perimenopause, and I check in on my hormones, and sure enough, my testosterone was at like 6. So here, insert dangling carrot of testosterone pellet therapy.
Hopefully it wasn't this carrot. You'd be like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we're good.
Which was really appealing, getting my libido back, some more mental focus, the ability of putting on more muscle mass was
Craig's
really tempting.
Like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
I'll drive you to the endocrinologist.
But Jeff, so I went on testosterone pellet therapy, and the dose was way too high for my constitution. Yikes. And I was sharing, the joke was that I felt like it was like to be in a man's body, meaning I was thinking about sex like 24/7. My husband was very, very happy. But again, it kind of like, it was not sustainable. My highs were really, really high. My lows were really, really low. My cycle started changing, and I wasn't on estrogen, even though my estrogen was tanked. Now, the practitioner that put me on this had really incredible intention, but knew that as a result of COVID and then mold, my gut microbiome was a hot mess. And we could have seen that through my food sensitivity list. I had tons of food sensitivities, which just goes to show me there's that lack of digestive health that I really needed. Doctors aren't talking about the fact that when you've got, maybe a bit of a leaky gut or issues with your gut, your body's not going to convert that excess testosterone into estrogen, which my body should have done, but it wasn't. So all this testosterone was floating around within me. I wasn't converting it. My hair started falling out. I got a lot of sleepless nights. And then with my podcast, would have these incredible doctors who are friends and brilliant practitioners But every single person has a different protocol.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do a deeper dive. I got off testosterone pellet therapy, and then I had frozen shoulder, and then I experimented with estradiol. Going on estradiol, I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better, but I do feel a little unsteady. My sleep now is tanking.
Did you transdermal patch or what did you do?
Transdermal patch as well. No progesterone yet. And again, it's like nobody was looking at the symphony of Mona's body to assess the ratios that I needed to optimize. And instead, I feel like it was like this Band-Aid solution to fix.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's being pumped out of media right now, where women are so excited are, this will take away your imbalances. This is going to be the thing that's going to make you feel better. And it could be, but as a woman, I want to know that it's safe to talk about, I didn't have a good experience. And is that okay? And I'm not against it, but is there an option to researching like what's best for my constitution? I actually really love that you're bringing it up because it's so front and center, especially for women's health today. But then let's flip the lens a little bit and just incorporate that ancient wisdom again, right? Because a lot of Ayurvedic practitioners will say like, gosh, being in your 30s or 40s, it's too young to be on HRT. And this is the one question that we're not asking. And I hope it's a focus for next year. Why are we not talking about optimizing the terrain of our body? Everything within us is interconnected and communicating together. So where are the sources of dysfunction? Where can we optimize the terrain first before considering HRT or in conjunction with HRT? Because otherwise, again, it's just going to be another Band-Aid solution for women.
Yeah. Now we're in a different environment. So we have to work on, like you say, like, can we change the terrain and optimize in all of these other ways? To make the ground conditions as good as they possibly can be as we move into midlife and beyond. So.
Let's call it as it is. Like our modern day is just not set up for optimal health or happiness. No. Here we are searching for any modality that's going to support us in feeling a little bit better. And I love that women's health, we all do, that it's having a rise right now. We're recognizing that for years, even through the rise of feminism, we were taught to step into success and health and biomarkers of a man. And now we're owning them as our divine feminine self. It's not about hacking. It's not about deprivation. It's not about hardcore, but again, just acknowledging harmony. And again, I think that this is where we can really look at nature. The more that we are aligned with nature, we've all felt it, we feel better. Yeah. When I guide my clients into a healing meditation, I ask them to remember, where do you go in nature to feel your best? Are you with your feet on the ground in the sand at the ocean? Are you at the top of a mountain? Are you, on grass? And by going to that moment and making it feel real, there's that exhale. You can see in that moment, just by thinking about it, there's resilience that comes in. We're aligned, we're in the present moment with freedom of distraction of what do I need to do? What's my to-do list? How do I need to eat? What's my supplement protocol? What are my work obligations? How do I need to show up with the kid and think about the future and aging well? Am I aging well, right? And so the more that we can kind of invite that resilience or harmony into our life, I think we'll turn down the noise on all of this. But I really hope that one of the takeaways from today's conversation is about that personalization. Yeah. And even if the greatest practitioner is, showing you the studies and the data, studies and data are fine, but the wisdom of your body knows best. So listen to that first.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. In many cases, we're designed for a world that no longer exists. Yeah. So there's an option there. We can try to change our design through gene therapy and CRISPR, or we can try to actually change our environment. And that's a lot more available to us. So thank you for being here, for bringing so much wisdom to the world, for helping so many people. You're just a joy to be with and a font of wisdom and knowledge. So thanks, Mona.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. For more of my weekly musings, along with ad-free episodes and live stream conversations, head over to my Substack at jeffkrasno.substack.com. I also want to let you know about our course platform over on Commune, which contains over 3,000 lessons and practices from the world's leading integrative medicine doctors, health experts, and yoga, fitness, and mindfulness teachers. It's a living library for holistic well-being, and you can try it for free for 14 days at onecommune.com/try commune. As a reminder, the audio version of my new book, Good Stress, is available on Audible, and you can listen to it for free as part of your premium Spotify membership. And if you prefer the old school analog option, well, you can pick up a dusty old scroll at goodstress.com and get over $900 worth of bonus courses from some of my biggest influences, including Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Zach Bush, and Dr. Gabor Mate. As always, feel free to reach out to me with comments, questions, or criticism of the constructive variety at jeffk@onecommune.com. Okay, that's all from the Commune for today. My name is Jeff Krasno, and I am here for you.